This is the absolute stupidest thing I ever heard a wrestling coach say. What's going on, guys? My name is Josh Settlage. I am the BJJ strength coach, and today I'm going to share a story with you, a pretty funny one if I'm being honest, of one of the most ridiculous and, in my opinion, the stupidest things that a wrestling coach ever told me. And it's a pretty funny story, and I figured I'd share it with you guys. But before I get into it and tell you guys about this story, I do want to invite you guys to sign up for my free 4-week strength program and the newsletters. If you sign up for the newsletter at the link below, you're gonna be able to receive free strength and conditioning workouts from me each and every single week. But these aren't just any workouts. These are workouts that I've specifically designed to help grapplers, to help jiu-jitsu athletes, and to help wrestlers. If you're interested in joining the newsletter community, just click the link in the description below and you'll receive my free 4-week strength program. All right, so let's dive right into it on what this wrestling coach told me. This was like, I kid you not, this was the most ridiculous thing. If I'm being honest, I could not believe that he said it until like 30 minutes later. I asked my wife, I said, did that fool just really say that? And she's like, yeah, he did really say that. But anyway, let me set the stage for you. So I was at this event, me and my wife were. There was another wrestling coach there that I had seen, and I don't work with him, but I've seen him, I've been in the industry and I've seen him over the years a lot. I see him, I'm like, oh yeah, what's up, bro? And so I'm talking to him a little bit, and he coaches a team, I won't say the name of the team, coaches a team that's pretty strong. They have a strong wrestling program, and wrestling wise, he's a pretty decent wrestling coach. Like his tactical and technical wrestling coaching abilities are pretty good and much better than mine, I would say. But the thing he said, which just threw me for the biggest loop, and I couldn't believe he said it, and it makes sense looking back now, but he said that, and I quote, "Wrestlers don't need to bench press. All they need is core work." And when he said that, he was going on about the story about, he was asking what I was doing. I said, oh, well, you know, I'm stepping out of coaching high school wrestling. I'm just focusing on the strength and conditioning aspect, and I'm working with more jiu-jitsu athletes, and I have athletes that I'm working with, you know, on a local level, but also across the country, and a couple athletes overseas. And he's like, oh yeah, that's great. Yeah, you know, like strength and conditioning for wrestling. That's awesome, man. That's great. And so he starts going on about his team and what workouts they're doing. And he then goes on to say that, yeah, you know what? All we do is we just do a bunch of core work. Look, dude, wrestlers don't need to bench press. All they need is core work. And the thing is when you're a wrestler and you have a really strong core, why are you wasting time with bench press? And I'm thinking like, bro, did you just say that? Like, wrestlers don't need to bench press, all they need is core work? And in my head, I just like let it slide, and I was like, I'm not 100% sure I heard him correctly. And later after the event, my wife and I on the way home, I asked her like, hey, did that fool just really say what I think he said? And she's like, yeah, he said that. I tell you guys this story because shortly after he made that statement, wrestlers don't need to bench press, all they need is core work, the next thing he said was very telling. He said, after he said that wrestlers don't need to bench press, all they need is core work, he kept telling me about what season they had. They had a really strong start of this season at this year at the time that I was at this event with him. He goes, yeah, we had a really strong start of the season. Everything was going great. We just had a kick-ass lineup and stuff. And in my opinion, I was thinking, oh, great, you know, that's awesome. But then here's the kicker. This is what he said. He said, we couldn't take anybody to the state tournament this year because all of our guys were injured. And that's the key. All my guys were injured, and we couldn't take anybody to the state tournament. Now, if you guys have been watching my channel for a while, you probably already know what I'm gonna say. Nobody ever lost a wrestling match because they were too strong, and nobody ever got injured because they were too strong. So if this coach's entire lineup was injured, that means the wrestling team was weak. The only way you get injured is because you're weak. If you mash it up with the statement that wrestlers don't need to bench press, all they need is core work, it's pretty telling and not very surprising, at least to me, that by the end of the season, his wrestlers were getting injured and they had to pull out of the state meet. That's a really tough spot to be in, especially as a wrestling coach. I was a wrestling coach for 2 years at the high school level, and I've been a wrestling strength and conditioning coach since 2017. And I've seen athletes time and time again who aren't taking the time to get strong. They're only wrestling, they aren't bothering to lift weights, they aren't bothering to work on their mobility. time and time again, those athletes end up getting injured. And sometimes they get injured and we can do some things to help them rehab that injury and get them back out on the mat in a couple weeks so that they can continue wrestling and performing well and working their way up to the state tournament. And unfortunately, I've seen it several times where athletes get injured and the injury is irrecoverable. They're not able to recover in time for the state tournament. They're not even able to recover in time to compete at league or districts. And it's a really tough spot to be in. So I encourage all you guys, the reason why I'm telling you this story is that if your coach, if your wrestling coach or jiu-jitsu coach, whatever coach you're working with, is discouraging you from doing any sort of strength training, you may want to think about getting a different coach, or you may want to think about going to some other coaches for your competition prep advice. That being said, thank you so much for watching and listening to this story. I really appreciate you guys all tuning into this channel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe on this video. And if you have questions about strength training for wrestling or jiu-jitsu, I fully understand that it's a big question. Well, what can I do to get stronger for wrestling? What can I do to get stronger for jiu-jitsu? Feel free to leave your questions in the comments below. I'm gonna respond to every comment, make sure that you guys' questions are answered. You guys can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Joshua Settlage, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.